Welcome back, guys. Another night, another loss to talk about. I absolutely can't wait. my my anger, I think, has just turned into, I want to say utter disbelief, but that's not even necessarily true. I'm just trying to stay sane, I think, at this point. So much invested in this team. I put so much of my own time in this team, and they just can't put together a solid effort back to back, let alone on a consistent basis. But before we get into the loss, I did miss the San Jose game. I didn't do a reaction for that one. And first, Jake Allen, what else is there to say that hasn't already been said? What a performance. I think it was a 44-45 shot shutout for him. Second most shots faced in a shutout since in history of the Habs. Most was Jacques Plante in like the 50s or something. It's just, so credit where it's due to a really strong performance for Jake Allen. Also love seeing Hoffman get up on the board again. Suzuki, just like tonight against LA, I mean, he's racking up assists. So with everything else that's going on, at least he's starting to produce a bit in terms of the playmaking. Also, Brendan Gallagher gets the monkey off the back. Love the celebration with Josh Anderson. Galley and Hoffman starting to get some chemistry going too. So yeah, but... Oh, and they break the curse. 22 years, haven't beat San Jose in San Jose? And this is the team that finally does it? I mean, this season does not make any sense. It really doesn't. But you know what? It all doesn't matter because they follow it up with a stinker against LA, and they get blown out by yet another bad team. This one, only one win coming into this game. Similar to the Seattle loss where they came in with just 2 wins, I believe, against us, and they absolutely smash us as well. So it's just embarrassment on the next level at this point. And it's another former Montreal Canadien, this time in Phil Deneau, that's on his revenge tour. And he does just that. He has a good performance against his former team, but the Habs made it easy on him. The team has no passion right now, and it's really, really frustrating. I mean, LA, they're missing their number one defenseman. So not only are they a team that's not that great to begin with, but their best defenseman's out, and we can't even exploit that. Now, I do have to give credit where it's due to Cal Peterson. What a story he is for the Los Angeles Kings. Just solid back there. And he did have to make quite a few decent saves early in that first. Montreal played a decent first. You know, they kept it close and scored late in the period. They should have been able to use that as a momentum boost and bring that forward into the second period. But as we've seen, not only just this season, but last season as well, second periods have been a killer for this Montreal Canadiens team. They cannot seem to... I don't know what it is. There's... The other thing, too, we end up going to the second period, the tie game, then we go down by a goal. And immediately, in a 2-1 game, the heads are slumped. They've given up. It's like they know that they just cannot produce offense, and they're easily stifled, easily shut down, and then they know they can't break through. It's so strange. And to be this early in the season and to be like midway through a game and you're only down a goal against a team that's, bottom of the league. I mean, like yourselves, to be giving it in and throwing the towel in that early, it's just hard to watch as a fan, if I'm being honest. It's really hard to watch as a fan. And the thing is, at this point, just give us a game where, or at least a string of games where it's, if you're going to lose, maybe a 1-goal loss or an OT loss. Not asking for much, but to keep getting exploited over and over again is tough. It is really tough. And to start this season, we're now 9 games in. We got a record of 2-7, all regulation losses. I mean, Jesus. Ugh. The season, playoffs are out of the question because, we couldn't even get loser points in some of these games to keep us afloat like we did last season. But to be this early and just not having any sort of enjoyment as a fan watching these games. It's hard. It's hard, especially coming off of what we saw last season, having the excitement and the confidence in our team game after game. Now, the big talk right now, coaching change, GM change. Is it time to fire Marc Bergevin? Is it time to get rid of Dom Ducharme behind the bench? I'm gonna be straight up here. I've been a Marc Bergevin supporter, but 2-7 is epically bad. The way he's constructed this decor is not okay. And I know you can make excuses and say, their captain left and they're missing key players like Edmondson and Byron, even though he's a depth guy. But this is just awful. This team is awful. So I can't justify this team's performance by using even those excuses. I just don't understand how a general manager can spend 5 years slowly building center depth to a team that has desperately needed it for decades, and then in one quick offseason, let it just be decimated and stolen away from him, literally stolen away by LA, by taking Deneau, and Carolina by taking Kotkaniemi. How can you let that happen? It blows my mind. They were willing to let Deneau go because of the steps forward that Kotkaniemi and Suzuki were taking. And then they just let Kotkaniemi go. I understand how it all played out with him and the dollar value and whatever else. But if you're confident enough to let Deneau go because of the play of your young centers, you might want to pony up and just pay up and deal with it. You were the ones that burnt the bridge with Carolina with the offer sheet in the first place. Anyway, it's just frustrating. And you know what? I do like the Dvorak pickup, but he's having a hard time finding his way in Montreal. And this team has a leadership problem. And part of that is on the coaching staff. But before I go on to them, I will say I have to finish this point about the GM. It's time to move on. I think it's time for a different perspective. He also didn't do a great job building this decor, and I've said it a million times. We've got a team full of 20 and 30 goal scorers. All of them are not producing right now. It's more than a slump. They're sucking as a team. There's no other way to put it. A big part of that is the defense not being able to participate in the offense, in the transition, in the ozone plays. And to build a decor of shutdown D who are also struggling to shut down plays. Oh, man. But yeah, the coaching. I do think we should get a new perspective. I think Bergevin is out the door after the season. As for the coaching, it's hard to fire a coach when he's, 3-4 weeks into a new contract. And I know people want Dom's head right now, and I may have, I don't know what you'd call it, a player in the game or a fork in the road or an egg in the carton or whatever because of Dom being the former Mooseheads coach. So I may stick up for him more than I should, maybe, that's on me. But at the same time, the guy has won in every league he has played, at every level he has played as a coach. He's one of few coaches to have been behind the bench for Team Canada at the World Juniors twice in a row. He also won gold in one of those tournaments. He's well more than qualified. He may lack experience, but he's well more than qualified. And I put a lot of onus on the players. If they happen to have given up on the coach or they're not listening to what he's laying down this early into his coaching tenure with the team and this early into a season, I put that on the players. They need to get their heads out of their asses. And, these are NHLers. Dom said after the game, he should not need to pull up these players or get these guys excited to play every 2 days, or every second game. And I love that quote. You call out the team to the media. You don't single anybody out. You call out the team because these have been team losses. And it's true. These are NHL players. I don't get it. No passion. No communication out there. Just trying to do too much or trying to do too little or overthinking things or gripping the stick too hard or shooting when they should pass. And the special teams have been atrocious. Now, granted, a big part of the, offensive woes of this team, like I mentioned, is the defense not being able to participate. I say that, but Sherratt has more points than Caulfield right now. Like, brutal. Ugh. But a big problem with this offense as well is that this team lacks playmakers. They don't have a solid quarterback for either unit on the power play. And when Jonathan Drouin is your best playmaker, as much as I love Jonathan and as much as he's having a fairly good season so far, despite the situation of the team, when he is your best playmaker, that's a problem. And Suzuki's coming around in that sense, but I mean, the shooters aren't getting the pucks onto their stick in their wheelhouse. And that needs to change. The power play has been absolutely atrocious. I mean, I've already gone into why. It's static, tough on zone entries. Jeff Petrie at the point again, he's still, for some reason, is just blasting shots from a standstill. And I don't mind if you're going to shoot, but at least be it off a play. At least let it be a one-timer. I don't think I've seen him fake a slap shot yet. Come on, dude. Use some of that passing vision. I don't understand it. They have weapons on either end side of the ice when he's out there, but he's choosing to collect a puck, wait 2 to 3 seconds, holding on to it, and then wind up for a massive shot. I'd like to go through every one of these games and count how many of those shots even hit the net. They're into traffic most of the time. The penalty killers know exactly what's going to happen. No deception whatsoever. And I have a hard time thinking that an NHL coach like Alex Burrows, even though he's quite inexperienced, is telling Jeff Petrie, yeah, just shoot the puck any chance you get. I have a hard time seeing that happening. Jeff Petrie has to make better decisions out there and start being a disher, start being a quarterback, start being a playmaker. Be deceptive. Use your skating to open up some passing lanes. Something, man, because it's so predictable. And they're continuing to try the same things that aren't working. The power play is disgusting. And by disgusting, I mean actually disgusting by the definition. If not for Hoffman, I mean, where would this power play be? Quite a few percentage points lower than what it is now, and it still looks like crap. And then the penalty kill, don't get me started. These guys are just passive. They're allowing opposition power plays to work the puck around. They're allowing shooters to have, 3, 4, 5 feet to walk into a shot. And they're getting tricked way too easily. This Montreal Canadiens team needs to stop looking at game tape of their own and start studying what other teams are doing out there on the power play so that theirs can be better and that they can also be ready for some of the tricks and some of the deceiving, high skill level plays that these NHL teams are going to make against them. Maybe they're already doing that, but it doesn't seem like it in the slightest. So overall, as much as coaching definitely could be better, no doubt. But I mean, you chuck in a very good coach onto this team, I highly doubt it makes a massive difference. We might have 1 or 2 more wins than we do right now, but I guarantee you we'd still be a sub 500 team. No doubt in my mind, we would still be a sub 500 team. This team's just not good. I mean, that's, after 9 games, we know this already. We know this. And team meeting after the game. Closed door meeting, players only, until Bergevin came in and had to say his piece as well. Clearly the guy is not happy. Hopefully it makes a difference, and hopefully these guys can, put their big boy pants on and get to work, because it's the fashion that they're losing that is making this so much worse. So much worse. And it's so difficult. I don't know if the expectations are getting to them because of how last season ended. I don't know if maybe, the Habs going to the Cup final was an opportunity for the entirety of the rest of the league to study them specifically and realize that they can only win in, very specific ways. And especially with the way that decor is built. And you got to think that, the forecheckers on our opponents teams, or our opponents' rosters love playing against us because this decor is, easy pickings for turnovers. Anyway, 2 for 5 tonight on the penalty kill. Come on, 65% this season, 65% penalty kill. Anyway, yeah. Now, something else we can talk about here. Is it time for Caulfield to spend some time in Laval? It might be. But what I do know is it's not time for him to be spending time in the bottom 6 of an NHL team. He's not a bottom 6 player. He's a skilled player, highly skilled player. And your end goal is for him to be an offensive driver. If you have him playing for an NHL team right now, he should be in a top 6 with a very strong center. So he needs to be playing with Suzuki or Dvorak. End of story. End of story. And if that's not going to happen, and if he's not going to get a ton of power play time and actually be passed to shoot, like LA was doing with Kaliev, I mean, it must be nice as a rookie in Kaliev to be just fed pucks to shoot. When you are, that's your job, that's your specialty, that's who you are as a player. Must be nice. Caulfield doesn't get that. So if he's not going to get that in the NHL, he should be down in Laval. And I'm not talking for a short stint. If you're going down to the AHL, you need to be there for half the season, minimum. Nice long stint, 18 to 20 minutes a night, first power play unit. That's where he should be right now if he's not going to be in a top 6 and getting prime looks on this Montreal Canadiens team. We cannot ruin another prospect. We can't. We cannot afford to do it. And it's just unacceptable that so many have been ruined so far. Same goes for Romanov. Either play him and let him be free out there to make some offensive plays. Let's develop him as an offensive driver instead of trying to force Ben Sherratt and David Savard into being puck movers when they never have in the entirety of their NHL career, and they're 6'3", 220, trying to move out there 230. Like, it's just not going to work. Put players where they need to be to succeed. So if he's not going to get that, if Romanov is not going to get that opportunity in Montreal, send him down to Laval to be on a top pair and get crucial minutes. This season should now be about building for next year. Gaining confidence in your young players. Figuring out who your core pieces are and who is the extra fat. Who doesn't want to be here. Who doesn't want to put in the effort. That's what this season needs to be about. I also think if you're going to, let's say you're going to send down Caulfield, bring up Pizzetta, for the love of God. That guy is an absolute certified beautician out there. He's got the flow. He's got the toughness. He's scoring goals down there for Laval. He'll go to the dirty areas. And he's a guy who stood out in training camp and gets sent down. That's not what you use training camp for. He earned his spot. Just like KK earned his a few years ago, or Mete. Why doesn't Pizzetta get the chance? Because he wasn't drafted high? Like, some of the choices by this managerial staff, and if Dom's involved in those decisions, which I would assume he likely is, guys, figure it out. This team has zero energy. None. And they're not doing anything to correct that, it seems. So, end of season, I feel we are going to move on from Marc Bergevin. I don't know how you get a contract extension at this point. If you're him, going through this start, just another season where we can't win, you know? And if that happens, who's taking over? Is it Patrick Waugh? I mean, he's not number 1 on my list in the slightest. But what I would say is Patrick Waugh taking over as a Habs alum, as a Habs legend, as a Habs Cup winner. It'd be exciting, you know? Some drama might come with him. I'd be nervous, though, about giving him full control. He's never been a GM in the NHL before. Mind you, his resume is stellar in junior as a general manager. And he's also a very strong coach, not only in junior, but at the NHL level. So if there is one thing I would fully trust, no doubt, Patrick Waugh to do, is decide the fate of Dom Ducharme, a rival of his in a past life when Dom was coaching for the Mooseheads. They faced a lot in the playoffs and in the regular season. Huge rivalry there between those teams. So Patrick Waugh will either know Dom enough to know that he's capable of the job, or Patrick Waugh will want his own guy. But what I will say is I don't think Dom will be out before the end of this season. It's going to be interesting to follow a lot of this. It's going to be interesting to see what goes down once this team arrives back in Montreal after this California road trip. Will heads roll? We'll have to wait and see. But till then, and throughout all this craziness, we can suffer together. Now, on a more positive note, got to talk about something positive. I got to bring some sort of optimism in here. Ryan Poehling returned to Laval after dealing with an injury. Concussion, I believe, or upper body injury. He was out for a few weeks. He's back now. He gets a big goal tonight. Huge to see. He's going to be crucial to this Canadiens organization, considering he is a center. And now we're lacking depth in that position. Not only that, remember my prospect video? I got a little slack for ranking Joshua Roy a little bit too high at number 6 on my prospect list, but he is now in the top 5 scoring in the QMJHL, absolutely lighting it up for Sherbrooke. So that is very good to see. Sean Farrell, another offensively inclined prospect at forward for the Habs. He started his NCAA career this year, just a couple nights ago, for Harvard. And after a couple games, he's racked up a ton of points. Last time I checked, a game and a half in to his NCAA season, 7 points. And this is coming off a season of 100+ points in the U.S. development program. So for the Chicago Steel in the USHL. So absolutely got to love to see that. Not only that, Riley Kidney for Acadie Bathurst, Nova Scotia's own Riley Kidney, is lighting the lamp for his junior team as well. Also top 10, if I'm not mistaken, in the QMJHL for scoring. And he's a pass first guy, but he's scoring goals. Absolutely love to see that. So Montreal's prospect pool is looking very, very strong. Very strong. At least we have that to bank on. And this team does have a lot of young talent. I don't think we need a rebuild. Not at all. We may need another little retool. I know people aren't going to like that term, but and we will need some crucial adds on this team, which could be tough. But when I hear rebuild, I think, tanking and 5 to 10 years to try and change the culture and completely rehaul your core. But we've got some very strong core pieces. The D needs some work, but we've got prospects coming up too that are going to be very good players. So anyway, guys, that's about it for me tonight. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you soon. If you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button and follow me on Twitter @Scotian Canadian. Talk to you soon. Happy Halloween too, by the way.